Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi everyone, super happy to see you guys.
Yeah, I'm happy to see people attending our second webinar. I see that there are already 13 people. Jake, let's wait for 5 more minutes so that other guys who registered can join us. It's great that you found time on Thursday to attend our webinar. All right. Just as usual, I'm looking where if there are any people that I'm working with here, and I can see some of them. Hi, guys.
Yeah, and guys, if one of you could just let us know in the chat section if you can hear us loud and clear and if everything is okay with like the audio, so we can just be awesome. Thank
Oh,
you very much.
okay, thank you, guys. All right, so uh, while we're waiting for more people to join, I think that we can start with some warm up questions. Um, May I ask you, are there any people who has just joined Growbots recently? I can see some folks that have already been using for some time, and I'm interested whether there are brand new users here. The day before yesterday. Okay, so
Fun.
for you especially, this would be really, really useful, I hope. A few weeks. Yeah, I know, John. Hi. uh, okay. All right, great. Yeah, so for those of you who didn't have a chance to attend our previous webinar, we were talking about personalization in the campaigns. If you're interested to check that out, you can visit our YouTube channel or ask on chat support. They will send you the recording. This is the second webinar, and we will be talking today about the very fundamental things, so it's very, very, as I said, helpful for people who has just started.
Hi Christopher, good to see you here.
Hi. Okay, we have.
Okay, so I think just like one, 2 more minutes more, and we will get going. I can see some more folks are joining in, so just like 1 or 2 minutes, and we will be starting.
Mhm. Okay, I hope that we manage to talk through everything before it gets dark here. I'm sitting outside and there's no extra lighting, so I hope it will not hinder my presentation here. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Hi.
so I think we can start if there will be any latecomers, of course, they will be let in. But I think we can get going. So I would like to officially welcome you guys to, as Polly mentioned, the second webinar in a series of webinars that we are hosting on outbound sales, on the topic of outbound sales. And as Polly mentioned, a few weeks ago, we were talking about personalization and how it can take your results to the next level. And if you want to check out that webinar because you didn't attend it, you can go to our YouTube page and it is already uploaded there. But today we will be talking about a different topic, which is prospecting and how to do it in a time efficient manner. My name is Jake. Unlike my nick on this tool, sorry for the confusion. I'm head of customer success here at Growbots, and you already know that I'm joined by Polly, who is a strategy consultant that some of you may know from working with her on a daily basis.
Yeah. Don't be misled by the name. Hans is we were hosting the previous webinar with Hans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as a strategy consultant, just a few words for those people who do not know me or do not know any other strategy consultants. What we usually do, we work on creating the best possible strategy for each individual business. So we write sequences, work on the best workflows. So basically, we are now sharing the information with everyone.
Mhm. Perfect. So let's get to the agenda and what we have planned for today. At the beginning, we will talk about why we have met here today and why prospecting is so important. Then we will move on to a more like practical part, where we will dive into Growbots and create your campaign as we would for the first time. So this part of the webinar might be more aimed at new users, at the users who haven't used Growbots much, but the users who have been with us for a while now will also benefit from it, because you will see in a moment that the workflow of creating every new campaign is the same as creating the first one. After that, we will move on to adding prospects to a running campaign, and finish up with general prospecting best practices, tips and tricks, which will be followed by a Q&A at the end of the session. In the chat box on Livestorm, on this tool that we are using, you can leave your questions anytime during this webinar. If anything comes to your mind, just put it in the chat section and we will get to the questions at the end. Polly, should we get started?
Yeah, I think we're ready to get started.
Awesome. So just to tell you a little bit about the goal of the webinar and why we have met today. So you might already know that two key factors when it comes to outbound is picking out a segment of your total addressable market and then creating a set of messages that will be relevant and specific for that particular segment. So these are basically the first two steps we ask of all of our clients and that the consultants work with our clients on, to get the best results. And of course, these two parts are invaluable to like any outbound process. However, what's also super important, and the next step basically in the whole flow, is prospecting. So the action of cherry picking the actual companies or people that you will be contacting. And let me tell you why it is important. So first of all, no list that you get from Growbots or any different data provider will ever have 100% accuracy. So it will never be perfect. Even if you describe your segment with the most detailed criteria, there will always be some noise in the data. So it's definitely a good practice to scan through lists and actually cherry pick the prospects that you will be later reaching out to. Another thing is that after doing prospecting for a particular segment for 3-5 times, a couple of times, you will start seeing patterns. So you will unlock insights about your persona, which is for every business, I think, super valuable information. These insights about like persona, who is responding to your emails, which job titles reply with a better response rate, or things like that. So I think it's super important. And last but not least, I think prospecting can give you peace of mind when it comes to sending automated emails to a mass of people. Of course, we are trying to be as personal with our emails and through prospecting we want to reach out to the relevant audience for us who actually might be interested in our product or service. So that's like the goal of outbound. But there's always this how to put it, a kind of worry that you might have, that you will be reaching out to, I don't know, 200 people at once. You don't know their names, you don't really know who they are, and you might be worried that oh, maybe this is not the right contact and they will mark me as spam or something like that. So through prospecting you kind of gain this confidence that you are getting in touch with your audience, basically. So I hope I proved why prospecting is important, but it's often considered as burdensome and time consuming. We often hear from our customers that they don't like to do prospecting because it's a lot of manual work, it takes time, and of course it is. The act of prospecting is manual, but for today our goal is to kind of disenchant it and share best practices on how to do it in a smart and efficient manner. So I will go now to Growbots, and Polly, let me know if you can see the Growbots app right now, because I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes,
We can see the
awesome.
Growbots app. We can see the timeline, so you can go to the campaign straight away.
Awesome. So for today, we will be showing you an example of an already prepared campaign that is not yet launched. So I will go to the first step of the campaign creation. So please imagine that the segment that we will be reaching out to today are companies offering life insurance. So you can see in the targeting criteria that we've set up that the industry that we are interested is insurance, and we've narrowed down our search to only really find companies that sell life and health insurance, because let's assume we are a company offering service or product to companies who sell life insurance. We are interested in US-based companies with company headcount up to 50 employees. So these are rather small and medium businesses. So this is our segment, and and the part of our segment is of course also the people part. So basically we are looking for executives, C-level and VP, so like presidents, CEOs, founders, owners of those companies, because they are relevant to our service, basically.
Blake, for a second, could you please go back to the companies, to the very first step? I guess that there's one important thing to point out is that since we are interested in life and health insurance, we've selected this as an industry. We've also added the keywords. This is something that we know when we start initially. We know that we are interested in insurance companies that issue life and health insurance, but not any other type of insurance. So we start with a very basic set of targeting filters. You will not have all the insights when you just starting. You will be getting them as you do prospecting more and more regularly. Jake will show you now how this insight will be applied later. So
Yeah,
this is an important thing to remember that
that's totally
at
true.
the beginning you start with very, just a basic set of filters.
Exactly. So I will be getting back to what Polly mentioned in a second. You will be seeing those insights unlocked live, hopefully. But first things first, the prospecting page is what we'll be focusing on today. We also feel that not only today, but always, this is the most important screen in Growbots. So for those of you who are new, get used to it. But basically what you can see here is that we have generated 49 prospects. Generally, the default number that is generated in a campaign is 50. But before the webinar, I played around here and rejected one of the prospects here. So that's why it's not 50 but 49. At any point, you can generate more prospects. So 50 is just the default number that you'll see, because we feel that 50 is a number of prospects that is quite easy to look through and investigate and scan if you are moving into the right direction. If the majority of people coming up or companies seem like a right fit, then probably you're on a good path to to actually schedule this campaign. So I will demonstrate how I approach prospecting usually, and how I recommend doing it on your own. So basically, in this view, you can see the companies that we have generated based on the criteria that we defined in the first two steps. And you can see company description, industry, location, and size. So you have, I think, all the information that you kind of need to make a decision whether you want to get in touch with this company or not. So you can see, so what I would usually do is just briefly skim through the description and see if this is the right fit for me. If I'm not sure, so in this case, I'm actually not sure if this company is offering like life insurance. They are saying something will earn your business. So I'm worried that it's kind of a commercial company. So what I can do to kind of get more insights about this particular firm is go to their social profile. So this is a link to their website. So I can already move to here and actually see that they do have a personal section here. So my worries were not grounded in reality. But what I can also do, besides going to the website, is actually go to this particular prospect, and I will be moved to prospect details section, which gives you the whole insight into all the data that we have on this particular prospect and company. So when in doubt, you can always leave that view that we just saw and go to the detailed view of this particular prospect, and check out more detailed data on the prospects. And one tip here that you can use is that actually from this view, you can see the 4 action buttons that we also saw in the previous view. And let me explain them to you. Accept means basically, yes, I want to contact this prospect. Reject means not yet. I might want to contact this prospect in the future, but not at the moment. And blacklist means no, I don't want to contact this prospect. They are not the right fit for me. And you can also move the prospects to a different campaign. And from this view, what's interested, and this is like a pro tip, you can actually accept, reject, or blacklist people by using keyboard shortcuts. So if I press 1 on my keyboard, which I'm doing right now, this prospect was just accepted. So and I was just moved to the next prospect in the list. So basically, this is a nice trick for those of you who like to kind of save time and just not use the cursor or the mouse or the pad, and just use 1, 2, 3 as accept, reject, or blacklist. So I will move back to this view, and you can see that this prospect already popped into the accepted basket, let's call it that. And let's go through this list. So you can see that the next company on the list is like an employee benefits brokerage and consulting firm. This is totally not my fit. I'm not looking for any like benefit consultants, employee benefits. So I'm rejecting this company right now. Then I can see that this has served individuals, so this seems like a good fit for me. And basically what I would do with the whole list of 50 prospects is just go through it one by one and accept or reject the prospects, the companies actually, and yeah, you can see here consultative approach to analyze, implement, support a business doesn't seem like a company selling insurance. So again, I'm rejecting it. And then I have another one, commercial benefits and property and casualty insurance consultation. Also seems more business oriented, more commercial oriented. So again, I'm rejecting this company. And this is the insights that we are talking about. This is unlocking the insights about your target. So what I can do now, based on just a few prospects that I saw, is that I can see that some prospects are coming up with like within like employee benefit space or like financial services or something connected with commercial. So what I can do now is I know that I don't want to be reaching out to those companies and I don't want them to come up. So what I can do is go back to the company's page and actually update the company keywords with the phrases that I don't want to have come up. So basically what I will do is put in employee benefits here. This is just a negative sign, you can see, and also like commercial insurance. And I think we had financial services. I'm putting it in quotes because I want to exclude this particular phrase that comes up in the like company's description part, or like specialties part of their social profiles. And what this does is refinement of the list that I'm about to get. Growbots will generate a new set of 50 prospects because, you know, I updated the criteria, so the prospects that will come up are kind of new. And again, I can do the same thing. So just go through the prospect, accept or reject them, have another portion of insights, and then again update the criteria. At one point, it can be after just one search, after one scan of 50 prospects. Sometimes, you know, the refinement process will take more time depending on like how narrow your segment is. But generally, I would say that in most cases, it just takes like one skim through the 50 prospects to kind of let you really refine the list in a good way. So I will not be going through the list of 50 prospects because, of course, we don't have time for that today. But I will just accept all these prospects, and I want to schedule them because I want to kind of show you the whole process of scheduling prospects. So let's go to the next step. The next step, you might already know, is about sequences. So you choose the sequence that you actually want to get in touch with these prospects. And then one very important step when it comes to prospecting also is cleaning up your custom fields, is reviewing custom fields. So what you can see in this view are the custom fields that we have used in the sequence. So if I go back to the previous step, you will be able to see that my email looks like this, and I'm using first name, position, and company name as custom fields. So these are fields that need to be filled out like by Growbots data, and a very important part of the whole process of creating a campaign is cleaning up the custom fields to for the message to look natural, for the message not to look automated. Because if you write to Nicole as a owner slash insurance broker, actually it doesn't sound that bad, but probably it would sound better if you say just as an owner of company than just insurance broker. The same goes for first name. If you have like a William, if you are on a more on less formal like speaking terms with your prospects, you can use Bill instead. Definitely also, if you write to someone as founder and president, it also doesn't sound that natural. Probably you would just leave as a founder. And same goes for company names. You don't have to use these. For example, this is a good one: agri services agency. You might use agency, but probably it will look more natural and feel more natural if it's just like agri services. So this is a very important step to for your messages to just look natural.
And I will jump in here to just tell you a few of practical tips. So very often my clients, they do not know, they know that they have to clean those custom fields, but they do not necessarily know how to do this correctly. And the things that you should look for is those company specification. So if we have something that is called Constellation Marketing Agency, you will probably delete this marketing agency and just leave their name, right? Because for the prospect who works in for this company, they will know what you're referring to. So Growbots sales automation, for example. If we imagine a message, I saw your work at Growbot sales automation, well, it doesn't look, it won't look good. So always look for this company specification, delete it. If you see a more generic name, a longer name with a few words, go to their website and check out whether they are using some abbreviations. If they do, feel free to change the name to the abbreviation.
Perfect. Yeah, so we will get back to the topic of custom fields in a second as well. I know Polly has something lined up regarding that, but let's just go through the whole campaign creation flow. So this is basically how you just schedule out these messages, these 55 accepted prospects, and this is like kind of how the message would look like. So we have just launched the campaign, and I will get back to the presentation. So to sum up what was just mentioned about creating your campaign for the first time. First, of course, you need to pick a segment and write a specific relevant message to that particular segment. Then go through the list of 50 generated prospects, devote around 15 minutes to scan them, and use the company description and job title to kind of decide which prospects or companies to keep. If in doubt, as I was showing you, check out prospect details, and of course reject the the companies that aren't a good fit for you. Go back to the filters and update them, and then generate a new list, and again accept, reject the prospects. And then another very important part is the clean custom fields part, that we are just describing. Okay, so this is basically the all the details that you need to know about creating your campaign for the first time. And now Polly will walk you through adding prospects to a running campaign.
Okay, great. So at this point, you've already created your campaign, you've launched it for the first batch of prospects. Now, what are the next steps? So, many people say that prospecting is the most time consuming part of the outbound process. I would not necessarily agree with that, because campaign preparation, writing the sequence, is way more time consuming. Prospecting is not about investing a lot of time in it, it's about the consistency. So, here, even before you go back to your campaign, what you have to think about is the cadence for your prospecting. So, this will highly depend on your schedule, on the type of your campaign, on your personal preferences. But what we usually recommend is either of the next three options. So, the first option is that you want to do this every day. In this case, you can do it by smaller batches. Let's say 25 prospects every day. Of course, it has its advantages. You can be more granular in scanning your prospects. You can put more effort in cleaning the custom fields. This is great. Some people prefer to go with everyday scheduling of smaller numbers of prospects. This is also great if you have a campaign that is loaded with custom fields, because as Jake just said, this is just as important as screening the list of the prospects, whether you accept or reject them. So whenever you know that you will also have to dedicate some time to cleaning the custom fields, you might want to go with the smaller batches, simply because it will be less tedious of a task for you. The second option is weekly scheduling. So let's say you would decide that you want to dedicate an hour and a half every week to log into Growbots and schedule some prospects. In that case, you would probably go with 125 prospects a week, around that number. The third option would be monthly option, so 500 at once. So you schedule all of those prospects, and basically it fills out your timeline for the next couple of weeks. Of course, this is, let's say that this is per 500 credits a month. So the basic plan that you can get with Growbots. If you have more credits on a monthly basis, simply adjust those cadence options uh, to your number of resources. Um, okay, so as I said, you have three options. You decide what works better for you. Once you've decided on the cadence for your prospecting, another thing that we would really recommend doing is looking into your schedule and setting particular time frames for your prospecting. So basically, locating it in your calendar, because simply thinking that, well, next week I will schedule another 125, it's good, but as practice shows, our schedules are rarely as we plan them to be. There are a lot of urgent things that might pop up, and especially with prospecting, that is it's an activity that doesn't bring you immediate results. So you have to put some effort before you start seeing the results. It's very easy to skip it because of some other more urgent tasks. So having a block in your calendar, having a particular time that you know you will dedicate to this activity, really, really helps. I wanted to show my calendar right now, because this is something that I do for the people that I work with, I very often create reminders in their calendar. I know that I do not doubt that all of you know how to use calendars, but I thought that some visualization can help. So let me quickly share my screen. All right. Mhm. This is a lady with technology here. Okay. Can you see my screen, Jake?
Yes, I can.
The calendar?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my calendar for Monday, and here you can see those are the calendar blocks that I put, so that people remember that they have decided to dedicate some time on this day to add prospects. Okay, so I will stop sharing. How to stop sharing?
There's this stop
Where?
sharing at the bottom. You should be, yeah, it just disappeared. Let me see if I can fix it.
Okay, interesting. I don't know how to stop sharing my screen.
Um, let,
Okay, I found it.
okay, awesome.
All
We,
right, great.
we are saved.
Um, all right, Jake, can you share the slides?
Yep.
Because I wanted to summarize what I've just said. So once you have these two, you know your cadence, you know the specific day that you want to do this, just try, especially for the very first month, keeping to those blocks in your calendar. The thing is that we truly believe that consistency in prospecting will bring you the results um, faster, right? So keep it for initial time, and then once you see the results, it will be much easier to treat prospecting as something, you know, um, as a priority, as something important within among all of your tasks for the week, because you will see the value for this already. I'm telling you this because I know that building a habit might be difficult. So really, listen to this recommendation, trying doing this, especially the guys who just joined Growbots. This is something that will bring you the results that you want to see. Okay, so I think that at this point we want to go to Growbots again, so I can show you how you go back to prospecting once the campaign is launched. All right, sharing my screen again.
Let's
All
hope
right.
for the best.
Okay. Do you see Growbots?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we've launched the campaign. Where do we go to add more people? So we go to our campaigns page, and here are two ways. The first one is you can simply hover your mouse over the campaign, and from here already, you will see this add prospects. You click here, and you are transferred to the prospecting page. So this is the screen that we saw a minute ago when Jake was presenting. Another way is to click on the campaign itself. And the first screen that you will see is the campaign summary. Here you can see the timeline and the list of the prospects that have been added so far. At the very top, you have four different tabs. So the second one is prospecting. You can click here, and again, you will see the same screen. So what do we do here? We can see zero contacts. This is not this doesn't mean that we do not have any more applicable records. As Jack said, this just means that we have to generate more. So let's imagine that I decided to stick to the second option of prospecting weekly, and I want to add another 125 prospects. So this would be the number that I want to generate. All right, and in a second, the app will show me a new batch of prospects. As Jake said, so when you begin, you want to pay more attention when you're screening the prospects because you are gathering the insights. There will be some back and forth to the targeting filters to add the exclusions or to add the keywords. With time, the process will get more optimized. So I generate my 125 prospects, and let's imagine that at this point I'm quite confident in the list and in the accuracy of the list. So what I will be doing is I will be just screening here going. By the way, this is the company layout. So here you see first the company description and then the prospect that belongs to this company. If with time, or if you are more interested in job titles rather than the company profiles, you can switch this toggle here near generate more prospects, and you will see the prospecting list. So basically the list of names only. And let's say I'm screening through the list, maybe assistant to vice president, not necessarily someone I'm interested in because I want to talk to decision makers. So I will reject him. All right. And I might want to go back after this prospecting session to people's criteria and add minus assistant to make sure that the next time I log in, I don't see any assistants on the list, but it looks good. I select all of them and schedule, right? And then what you will basically see are the steps like review custom fields. Again, here, I will review all of those custom fields. Then I select the email account, and then I just schedule those prospects to the campaign. So basically, all the steps that you saw when you were first creating the campaign, only you are not adding messages, right? Okay, so this is it. This is basically it. Let me stop sharing. Okay, so we have decided on the workflow. Another thing that I wanted to share with you are some pro tips, let's say. Jake, can you please share the slide? Okay. All right, so to reiterate, the most important pro tip is to really think through your prospecting workflow. So, once again, decide on a cadence, put some time frames for your prospecting, and stick to those time frames at least for the initial period until you see the first results coming. The next tip that you can see on this slide is choose your custom fields according to your segment. What does it mean? So we already know that cleaning custom fields is just as an important part as screening through your prospects. And it might be time consuming. I really saw it a lot of times when my customers started prospecting and then dropped it without finishing because they were just overwhelmed with the number of custom fields that they had to clean. Why does it happen? The reason is that for some industries, custom fields like company name might not be the best option. And why is that? Because in some industries, most of the companies carry long, convoluted, or generic names. For example, think of lawyer companies, and legal services. Most of them will be named after a bunch of guys, and it will not look good in the message. Another instance is governmental institutions or medical practice. Those hospitals usually will carry the name after the state. Financial institutions, banks. I really don't recommend using custom fields like company name if this is the industry that you are targeting. Spare your time of cleaning those custom fields. Simply say your company instead of company name. This will, as I said, spare you time and at the end of the day, look more natural in the message. However, if you have an industry like SaaS, consumer goods, restaurants, this is a better way. This is a better instance for using those custom fields because some of them might need to be cleaned, but most will be okay, right? So this is something that I really recommend you keep in mind when you're creating your campaign. If you did create a message with the custom field and after a few first prospecting sessions you see that really cleaning custom fields is something that discourages you, think about going back to your template and changing it. Really, it's better to be consistent with prospecting and do this as you should, rather than keeping the idea of personalization that, if not cleaned, will not work anyway. All right. Again, this is something that we've mentioned, but after the first few sessions, you will be going back and to your targeting filters, adding the keywords, exclusion keywords, and after some time, what you can do, if you want to, let's say, save some time, you want to bulk select the prospects and schedule them. Before you do this, go through the first 10 or 15 records. If all of them are yes, if you would accept all of them, this probably means that you can bulk select the batch and prospect it and schedule it, right? So with time, as I said, it will get more optimized. Then another pro tip is that if you if you're doing your prospecting on your timeline, usually some of the days will be filled out with the follow-ups for the prospects that have been scheduled before. If you want to prioritize initial messages for the new prospects that you are adding, if this is more important for you than keeping the cadence of the follow-ups, then you can switch off the follow-ups in your sequence for some time, then do the prospecting, and all of the new prospects will get initial messages in the soonest manner possible, right? Because otherwise they will be scheduled only when there are let's say few free spots within your sending limits. And another pro tip, like the most generic one you can say, but really this is something that is worth keeping in mind. Try always keeping your timeline full. Even a few days of a pause is still might be a few hundred of prospects not contacted. And at the very beginning, scope and consistency is what counts to see the results. So, for the best results, remember that all of the days have to be filled out with messages. Okay, one more thing. This is something that you can see uh, here. Give us a second. Okay, Jake, something. Yeah. Okay, great. Now you can see it. So Here is a screenshot from a prospecting page, and you can see this little green and white check mark here near the company. What does it mean? As we said, prospecting gets easier with time. So if you're doing this consistently for some time already, you might start seeing those. This means that you've already added someone else from this company to your campaign. Basically means that you've already qualified this company, and you can move on and add another prospect. So you don't have to think whether this is yes or no. The app shows you that this is yes because you've previously decided so. Okay, all right. So I believe that this is it from us. And let's now, Jake, let's look into the questions. I see that you were answering some of them. Extracting.
Yes. Yeah. So this would be it from us guys in terms of presentation and just showing you around Growbots. But we still have a couple of minutes to answer any questions that you have. We will be diving into David's questions in a minute. Um, but if anything was unclear or you have still some questions around anything connected to prospecting or Growbots, just just put it in the chat box.
Okay. And David asked whether can be extracting lists from Salesforce, deriving a campaign, and whether the Growbots responses sync, update, or duplicate in Salesforce afterwards. So, David, absolutely. If before launching campaign you sync your Salesforce account with Growbots, we have a native integration, and if you want, this will depend on how you set the mapping between Growbots and Salesforce. If you want your Salesforce to record only the prospects, the to track only the prospects who replied. This is something that you should choose when integrating the two accounts. But it is also possible to push all the data about all the prospects that you've contacted so far. And if we talk about extracting lists from Salesforce, let me know if I understand correctly. But do you mean that you would be willing to um, use your own list in the campaigns? Do you understand correctly? David, if you're still here, you can just clarify this in the chat.
Yeah, and regarding the Salesforce integration, we can also have our support team reach out to you, David. So all the questions around that can be clarified then. And regarding your second question, does Growbots allow you to prospect as a team? So as I answered in the chat, totally. So you can do the prospecting, and then another person can come in and add more prospect to that particular campaign, just kind of as we did with Polly here today. And will the teammate be alerted? Unfortunately not. So we do not have these kind of alerts, but this is a very good kind of feature request that we will definitely pass on to the product team, and they will definitely consider if this is something that we will create in the app.
And David, thank you for clarifying this. You would want to remarket deals and their contacts. Yeah, so if you if you have the direct emails to those to those people that you want to contact and reach out again. You can create a CSV file and upload it to Growbots. I believe that we still have time. I can show you how you can do this. Great for pointing this. Great that you've pointed this out, because this is something that we probably forgot mentioning. I will now share the screen and go back to Growbots to show you how you can do this. Okay, so let's see that. Let's say this is the campaign that you were prospecting so far, and here near generate more prospects. Let's generate another 20 really quick. I'll show you. One second. Okay, so here you can besides generating prospects from our database, you can click here, and from the drop down, you can either add those contacts manually, or if you have a lot of them, you can create a CSV file with the names and with the emails and upload this CSV file, so those contacts will appear on this list as well. I hope that it answers your question, David.
Awesome. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions at the moment, but we will be sticking around with Polly for another couple of minutes. So anyone of you have any questions, please voice them out in the chat section. And for the rest of you guys, we know we are running out of time, so we just wanted to thank you for attending the webinar, and definitely we will be sending out the recording of this and the presentation, as I mentioned, to all the participants, and look out for any future webinars that we'll be hosting, because another one is coming in a few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I see that Jean-Philippe, you're working with a consultant. Great. Yeah, so you will be getting a lot of knowledge. All right. If anyone wants to ask a question, please do. We still have about 5 minutes more. Monica, yes, there will be a recording. You will receive it. Everyone who attended will receive the recording. We will be also sharing the presentation from the webinar. John, thank you for attending the webinar, and David, thank you so much for your feedback. I think this is something that we can share with our developers, and they might consider adding this option to Growbots. I think this would really be useful for bigger teams.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Okay, so I think we don't have many more questions, so we will be wrapping up. But if you have any doubts or questions regarding prospecting, or anything else inside the app, you can reach us at jake@growbots.com or polly@growbots.com, and we will be sure to reply as soon as possible. And you can also just write on the chat inside the app. When you log into Growbots, you will see it in the bottom right corner, and the folks there will also be super happy to help with anything you throw our way. So don't hesitate to leave us a message.
Okay, one last thing, David wrote, please continue updating effective sequences. Okay. All right. I can see that David is still typing, so let's wait. Yeah, writer's block. I know, David. It's yeah, but the good news is that you don't have to be a copywriter to write good sales campaigns. And I think that we've just got an idea for the next webinar. We really have a huge key base and a lot of recommendations and tips. So watch out for this. We'll definitely cover that in the following webinars. You too. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.